Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It's another beautiful day in Scottsdale. Little clouds, a little chilly, but we are happy to be here. It's always warm inside the Celebration of Fine Art tent, especially when it's filled with amazing art lovers like all of you. So thank you for being here, and thank you for those joining us online. We appreciate you. And we're excited today. We've got a fun, interesting panel. I say that every time, don't I? But it's always true. This is anybody still thinking about last week's? That was kind of interesting, yeah. This is Journey Inside the Creative Process. We're bringing a piece of art from start to finish is often a multi-layered process that may involve travel and exploration, collecting objects, photography, digital tools, and layers of substrates, techniques, and other media. So we're going to discover the layered journey these artists take to create a single work of art, or many, many single works of art, I guess is how we should say that, right? Yeah, much better. So, by the way, enjoy. We had little party favors today, so hopefully you all got your little book. If not, we'll make sure you get one. And thank you. And we would love to hear from you how you feel about the Celebration of Fine Art, or what it means to you, or something, because we are always excited to hear feedback from our wonderful collectors. So if you have time to do that, we would appreciate it. So today, joining me is a great collection. Got the girls on one side, guys on the other. But to your left is Myron Whitaker, all the way from North Carolina. I had to do a little bit of caressing to get you to come here. Yeah. Okay, coercing, yes.
Liquor.
Yeah. What's your favorite? Yeah. Yes. And right next to me, the comedian and new artist to the show who we adore, Josh Hirt.
Hi, everyone.
And next to me, how long have we been at the show together? Many, many years. Half of the Giddings-Axton crew, Mari Giddings. So Mari is right here in Phoenix. You're from Redding, California?
Redlands.
Redlands, red, blue, purple. Okay, Redlands, right? Okay. So we're excited to be here. And we wanted to talk about how some art really is kind of an assemblage and pieces and parts that are collected. And I think, I'm going to go easy on you, Myron. I'm going to start with Josh. Okay. So if you want to tell us just a little bit about how long you've been an artist and what made you want to enjoy this crazy lifestyle, and then just touch on what inspires your work. And we're going to dive deeper in that in the next round.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you. Well, I've been around art my whole life. My mother is a lifelong artist. My mom's an artist. My dad was a builder, so I had my hands on materials for as long as I can remember, and I spent summers in my mom's studio surrounded by art. So these two things have come together in my journey.
All right.
Yeah.
And when did you dive into full-time art creating and selling?
It's been about 20 years. Yeah, in some form or another. This body of work is about a decade now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun to share what all this really is. Thank you. Our fabulous audio man, Ray, Tiger Man, also an exceptional artist and singer. Thanks, Ray, for everything you do, which is a lot, including new microphones this year. He got these for us. Wow. Yeah. So, okay, Mari, you've had a pretty exciting journey, and all of your work is collaborated with Joe. And again, we'll dive a little bit deeper in, but you make every element of your mixed media pieces of art.
Except the agates. I don't cut the agates. When I was a kid, I did. I was a rock hound. And I found rocks and polished them and cut them, but I don't do that anymore. But other than that, yeah, we make all the glass, the ceramics, the steel.
And how did you and Joe, how'd you get into this, and who does what hurt?
Well, when I was pretty young, I decided I wanted to be a working artist and make a living at it. I had painted and worked with rocks and stained glass my whole life since I was about 5. My grandmother was an artist. My father refinished furniture, and I would help him do that. A lot of my techniques are kind of based on furniture refinishing because I work in a lot of layers. Closer, please. And Joe and I started working together pretty quickly. We met in college. I was a printmaking major. He was a theater major. And we had a class together. And when the class ended, he came and asked me to help him paint sets. And so I started painting his sets, and then we became a couple. Started working together. And that was in 1984. And we've worked together ever since. It's been a little while, yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to learn more about some of your techniques and how do you assemble things, but we'll jump over here. Now you're ready to go, Myron. No. Okay, Myron Whitaker, the amazing ceramic and mixed media artist.
I'm a little different. I didn't start ceramics until I was my mid-40s. So I worked for a public job. I worked for Mercedes. I built 18-wheelers for a living. So I come into it late. So I've been doing this since then. Having a blast, having fun. That's why I look at my work. I hope everybody sees that I have fun doing what I do. So the big difference.
And your dad was an entrepreneur back, and how did that inspire you?
My dad ran his own businesses, and we were grunt labor. Kids learned how to run business, how to set up, display, buy inventory, manipulate everything. So it helps me in everything I do in my business. So, I love my art, but I'm also a business guy. Got to make it work. Got to make a living at it. So I have the business background plus the art background. So it works out good for me.
And your dad used to send you with cash?
My dad done business in cash. He would give you a wad of cash, tell you to go pick up his inventory. You had to pick out fabrics, load the van, bring it home, and you had to make a deal. He expected you to do what he done, so that was a good thing. It helps me out doing what I do. I know how to make a deal. I know how to buy my stones and my clay and manipulate everything and get the business side of it done.
All right, so let's stay with you and talk about that. So your work, the foundation of your work is clay and ceramic.
Yes.
But you have incorporated many different elements to it and some collaborative pieces. And so what inspires you to do, we start with the basics and then let's move on to the totem here. Like this is a serious work of art.
It's a lot. It's a lot of elements that's got to fit together. Clay does not like to do certain things, so you have to learn how to manipulate it to make it do what you want. The reeds, I had to develop a form. Clay wants to bend and move when it dries, so I made a form that I could make these reeds and keep them perfectly straight so they would fit in what I want to fit. So I have to engineer everything to make it work the way I want. The stones, I have a dealer who I buy all my stones from. I pick my stones first, and I design the colors and patterns from the stone so it makes them fit better together. So it incorporates it more.
So how long would a work of art like this totem, and is it multiple pieces that you can assemble?
Yes.
Okay.
The totem comes apart in 3 separate pieces, but there's about 15 different layers of ceramics in it. It's pieces that are assembled together. You can't really tell, but the one that has the reeds on it, there's a huge PVC pipe in the middle of it. There's a PVC pipe in the middle. It's my support system, so it holds all my pieces together. Every one of the reeds has to have a hole in the back so I can bolt it to the PVC so it won't fall off. But it's all about structure. When you were a kid, you rolled a piece of typing paper, stood it up, and made a cone out of it. You could set a book on it, and it would hold it. I do the same system with that. The weight goes straight down, holds the pressure. So, because it's around 200 pounds of clay set in there. So,
What about your glazes?
Yeah.
What about your glazes?
Yeah. And why does that one have polka dots like pepper? On the end.
Oh, on the end.
Yeah, tell them about that.
I formulated all my own glazes. I wanted something that keeps you unique from other ceramic artists. If you don't use commercial, you stand out. I picked my clay body that has an iron flake in it. So if you look at the one behind me, the tan one, if you look really close, you'll see a lot of little black flakes coming through. My glaze is done to be transparent so you can see the clay body. Although it's a layering of texture, so you get more and more texture. It gives you a depth in what you're doing. These are very different because they're fired in an electric kiln. Most people like to do gas kilns to get color and texture. I like electric because I can control it. So it gives me more ability that way.
All right. We're going to get more out of you in a minute. But yeah. Yes, we are. Right? Yeah. But that's very good. I love the idea that you use the agate as a jumping off point. And if you don't have an agate, then you can just be a little bit more free with the colors you choose.
I don't do free very well.
Yeah.
I'm very structured. My instructor at school always told me, you need to stop and have a drink before you come to class because I want everything to fit in a square box in a straight line. And I had a hard time breaking out of that. So
that's why we had to let you have a little nip. But I love to see can you see the engineering in his work? Yeah. There's nothing haphazard about what you do. So this gentleman over here has a shirt that says engineer, and I said, are you an Imagineer? And he said, well, I'm actually an engineer, but with an imagination. So there, it all plays together. So Josh, you have this beautiful abstract-looking works of art, but tell us what is the story behind these pieces?
So mine is mixed media, abstract photography, and metal, steel. And what you're looking at here is 6 feet tall, and it's about an inch on the side of this 1950 Cadillac that I found here in Arizona, in Wickenburg.
So the abstract photography is of a very small piece of
a classic car. I mean, most of these are 50s cars and trucks that I've absolutely fallen for. This is their weathered exterior, the patina paint job, up close in the macro. And I think it's beautiful.
And that piece over there?
Same idea. Up close on, you'll see this cool blue. It's the color of the 50s, that cool blue I find everywhere. So I think it's amazing to see what it's done over time under the elements. I think it's incredible the way nature takes hold of man-made things and has its way.
And what I love too, because at first I didn't realize that. I mean, then I got dug through the application a little bit more. I'm like, oh wow, this is not a painting or whatever. And you see all the little scratches. And we talked the other day about the layers of paint. That's
right.
There's the one with the yellow and the blue.
That's right. You'll find layers. Whether they're multiple paint jobs. In this case, this is the blue, and it's fading down to the base coat. And you'll see that a lot. It's the white primer, which makes for this great negative space in contrast. A lot of it's a mystery. I mean, I find these, decades after they've been left in a field somewhere, some abandoned gas station along the way.
So you have a Route 66 series.
That's right.
Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So that my square wall. If you come visit me on this side, I'm booth number 152. You'll see 16 12-inch squares, and each one is an abstract that is from one of these classic abandoned cars up close that I found along Route 66.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's great. Did anyone know that was a photograph of a car from the owner? So I love how artists can use their eye and share with all of us the creative, vision of an artist. And I would have never thought of taking a portion of a car. And somebody asked you one day, how long does it take you to find the spot that you want to photograph? And you answered pretty quickly.
I'm not sure what I must have said. There's always a spot that speaks out. And I think it's so cool to find it, to find one of these in my travels. There are little Easter egg hunts out there in the world. And then there is almost always one spot that speaks out, that deserves attention. And that's what I love, to find and then focus on and get lost in through the lens. It's really
So besides Route 66, I mean, do you just anywhere you go? Are you looking for a cool vehicle?
It's great for me. I'm very point A to point B. I mean, I'm all about making good time. So in my travels across the country, this has been a reason to keep my eyes open for that, old farm truck, or to drive down the road less traveled, old main streets or a gold mine.
Have you been chased away by somebody when you're on their private property?
The truth is, I've been yelled at, but people, when they realize what you're actually interested in and showing enthusiasm about this old car they've got laying in their yard, they'll open up and tell you all about it and take to you. So there's been no real chase away. So they usually turn around pretty quick.
Capturing moments. And when we come back through here, I want to ask you more about the metal work that you do, which is part of your presentation. So isn't that great stuff? Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I was going to ask Alex, how many off-road side trips do you guys take? In my world, Jake and I, we have to drive to some random place to look at a car. We've been on some journeys. Haven't taken photographs like that yet. Maybe I'll start. But, okay, so Mary, you and Joe, you're all about solving problems. And during COVID, there was an element. Can you all see the hanging piece over here? It's a little bit, we couldn't bring something too heavy, but you can certainly go see her studio after. In addition to these beautiful wall pieces, which we should talk about how you can mix and match, the assemblage pieces. Tell us about that from top to bottom. What do you have going on over there? And how did you learn how to roll round steel?
Oh, well, we used to be able to go to Davis Salvage and pick up rings like this out of a barrel since I was in college. So during COVID, Davis Salvage began cleaning up, and they put all their rings in a back room, and eventually the rings disappeared, and they're gone now. They don't make them anymore. So we were forced to get a ring bender. And as soon as we got a ring bender, we were no longer limited to the size that Davis Salvage sold. We were able to go big. So now we have 4-foot rings and little rings. So.
And what does that look like? Is it
The ring bender?
Yeah.
It looks like a wheel of a ship, and you put your steel in one side and you turn it, and it takes the steel and it bends it, and it goes way, way up past our shade cloth, and then you turn it back the other way and it bends it that way until you get a circle. You just keep going back around and around until it becomes a circle. The little ones are much faster to do than the big ones are crazy.
Do you have to apply heat with that as well, or is it just
No, there's no heat. It's just rolling it through this.
So no need to go to a gym. That's
it
a
is
workout.
a lot of work.
That's a workout.
It is
Yeah.
so much work, to bend it all the way in.
The Spartan way of working out. I like that. Okay, so then from the top ring, what do we have next?
Well, then we have carvings of rabbits. There's a bunny facing you, and this bunny got a little out of hand and wrapped around. So his ears go around the side. I started on it, I thought it would be I don't know, it got a little big, but it turned out okay, I think.
And these pieces can be indoor and outdoor?
Yeah, it can be indoor and outdoor. For many years, I did a lot of collage work with fabric and paper, different papers I would paint, and then I would collage them. When I started doing this show, instead of working flat on canvas and paper, I began to work on cradled wood because I needed a finished product to hang on the wall. So once I was on a rigid surface, I was able to collage with other elements. And I had been teaching ceramics for many years and doing it since 4th grade. So I began to bring it into my work, along with the steel and the glass. I did a lot of work with glass, so I make all those little beads.
So how many kilns do you have, and are they gas or electric?
I have 4 kilns at home that are electric, and I have 1 gas Cone 10 kiln at the Rock and S Art Ranch in downtown Phoenix.
And how long, like, is your glass work, is any of it blown glass or all of it is
It's all fused.
Okay.
It's all fused. So it happens in a large flat bed. Just stack it and it fuses together.
So you cut the pieces of glass and
I cut all
assemble
the
them.
pieces, yeah.
So you can have like a little tiny bitty square or
Yeah, well, so all of these, it started, I used to do much bigger paintings in glass and landscapes in glass, and I kept all my little chips because they're so expensive. And then one day I started fusing the little chips to put over the screw heads that hold my pieces together. And now all I do is make the little chips. I no longer do the big pieces. I just make these little, I cut 1/2-inch squares and stack them, fuse them together.
so when a piece is being created, is it always back and forth between you and Joe, or are some of them all you and some all Joe? And
They go back and forth. And we don't work side by side, so I'll work and then ship it off to him, and then he works on it and then sends it back to me. And
do you ever have a plan?
yeah, sometimes, and then I don't send it on to Joe. And the same with him. If he has a plan, he'll keep it there too. So, the work kind of tells you as you're working on it. We're flexible.
The key to successfully working together is to work separately
And be flexible.
and be flexible.
And flex is the big one.
So, I mean, you have a work area here. As you know, many of our artists, you can watch them paint or sculpt or create. Some of them are a little messier than others, so they can't necessarily do all their work here. So, like Myron, you don't even bring your kill anymore, do you?
This is the first year I haven't worked here.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have this great new work area up
I
on
know
it.
it.
But this center area is where a lot of the louder and more difficult work, the loud work, the messy work, the stuff that involves fire or, right? So Josh, first year here, he gets here. He's got the beautiful window. You can see it from here. But what do you do out in the container land?
I make noise. I'm cutting and welding and grinding, and I'll do a lot of that before the show starts in the morning, so I don't get on people's nerves. It's loud.
Yeah, if you come in early, you hear grinding, you hear tapping. I took a little video the other morning and posted it because it is fun. But everybody can't come in early because then we'd be open. So, but sometimes you guys still make noise in the middle of the day, which is cool.
And it is cool. It's nice to have that the area to be able to do that and get things done.
Okay, so what exactly are you doing? Are you making your frames or your substrates? We probably need to know that.
That is what I'm working on. So with the the body of my work is this abstract photography, and that art is fun. It's fulfilling. That's sort of my moment is then I find these, get lost through the lens, and come up with these designs. The metal is work, and so I'm out there, cutting, bending, welding, grinding. That's the real.
So this one is like a wave. So how do you accomplish that?
Yeah. I love to hand bend steel. I was looking to see if Carlos was out here because I've admired him back there bending his steel legs. It's so cool.
Yeah.
And that's something that I take a real pleasure in. Just hands-on, forming this metal. It's all by hand. Thank you.
And the photography, is that on aluminum?
It is.
Okay, so
It's on.
how do you do that?
It's on aluminum, which works perfect for what I do because it's of metal on metal. It brings everything to life, and then it is a material that I can cut and shape. And I've, from day one, I've really loved and appreciated that about it. It is a material. So this is a pretty good example of that. I cut these out and shape them to fit my design.
So a question, if somebody has a vehicle sitting appropriately
Yes.
disintegrating and rusting, can they commission you?
Yeah, I have done that, and I think that's the coolest, because that really is personal. Patina is a beautiful thing, and I'm happy to capture it and make something original out of their car.
And I do love that you're combining the man-made element of the automobile with the nature oxidation that happens over time, and you're honoring the past.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a life lived, you know. And a lot of it's a mystery, but it's a lot like us. You know, we all come off a lot glossy, shiny, and you know, we pick up our scrapes and scratches along the way, and they're beautiful.
Thank you for saying that.
That's perfect.
That's true.
Yeah. We got that on tape. We're going to quote that. That was beautiful. And I think part of the great thing about art is it doesn't have to be perfect. And I know we talked about that last week when we were talking about AI and the influence of AI. I think as humans, we crave imperfection a little bit. We want to see the real, the authentic, you know. We want to see your fingerprints once in a while there. And it's great to see the expression here. And one of the things that you and Joe have done that's really cool with these square pieces, you recognize that sometimes people want to kind of co-create with you. So you'll do the 12 by 12 or 10 by 12 by 12 squares, and they all have Velcro. So you can assemble, you'll have a frame that will hold 9 pieces, and people can mix and match. So you can really co-create.
It's true.
How long have you been doing that with the mix and matchable?
Since we started doing the show. So 2008, 2009 we started, I guess 2008 we started the frames, these steel frames that we do, and eventually put Velcro. We started by bolting them in, the 9 panel, we bolted in from the back and we sold it. And then this lady came and her husband said, well, they liked it, but they wanted to move them around. And we had 4 bolts into each of the 9 pieces. So it took us a long time to pull it apart. While we were taking it apart, we started talking about other ways we might be able to assemble them. And we had looked at frame molding that's all stuck on a carpeted wall. So we started with the Velcro, which really helped our frames and to change them around and let people, you know, you can even turn them any way you want them in the frame. So. Or not have a frame.
Boy, don't you wish you'd invented Velcro?
Yeah, I love Velcro.
Yeah, but no, I think that's really, again, one of the advantages of a place like this is you get to be involved with the creative process, and you would not find that out anywhere else. And you can really help people customize what they need. And you also do large ceramic pieces. So, you know, as always, we want you to take some time and stroll around and look at each of the studios. But and Myron, you work from very small to, is this your largest?
Right now.
Right now? But you have done taller?
I have done that.
Yeah. And your work can go indoors or outdoors?
Yeah, it's all fired glazes. It can handle the outside. The biggest problem you'd have here in Arizona is all the dust. A lot of crevices. You wouldn't want to have to clean it all the time. I did a whole collection of outside pieces this year. There's none of them out there left. They're all gone.
What were they?
There were big cactus with bronzes on top of them. And they went very well. So we'll have to work on making more next year. So.
They did?
The 4 foot, 3 foot, and 4 foot.
They were life size, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were.
Like Choya size?
Yeah, they were pretty large pieces. They were nice.
So maybe next year larger ones. And
Larger,
you know,
yeah.
how do you get rid of that dust? That's what canned air is for.
It should blow off.
Yeah. Need the dust. Yeah. Great.
Ceramics does great in Arizona outside. It doesn't do good up north outside. Your freeze thaw it will always cause problems on ceramics. So but in Arizona it's perfect. It's all glazes. It's not going to hurt it.
So you talked about your different kilns. What degree are you firing at, or does it depend on the size?
This is a cone 8, which is around 2,200, 2,300 degrees. And I've got like over 20 kills. I design and build my own. If I throw something too big, I just build a new kill. So I don't worry about it. Neighbors are always worried about what I'm burning in the yard now.
20?
Yeah, at least, if not more.
You're a collector.
No.
Things, yeah. And how many? You said you have one guy that you deal with for the agates. Is that?
Yes. Yeah, I have a gem dealer. He lives in Queen Creek actually, and I buy all my stones from him, the big ones. He has a great collection to pick from, so gives me plenty to deal with.
Do you go out there each time you're here,
Yes, 2 or 3 times a year.
and you handpick everything,
I handpick every stone. Yeah, I sit there and filter through like I'm going through paper.
or like an album?
Yeah, just sit there and pull this and pull this. I see things in the stone. When I see something in the stone, it fits me and my personality and my work. All of us, our personalities are incredibly in our work. The more you get to know us, the more you see who we are in our pieces. So.
That's another true statement. And years ago, you had some pieces with porcupine quills, and I bought one, and I found that cats really like porcupine quills.
The funniest one I've had here, one of the things I use is, it sounds stupid, but coyote toenails. I like the spike. You can buy them in a bag of 100, and I use them a lot. But dogs like the smell of them too. I've had a dog pick a lid up and walk off with it because he liked the smell of the toenail.
How did you ever come up with I think I'm going to get a coyote toenail. Where'd you find that?
I like spiky stuff.
Where did you find them?
The Jimmy Mineral Show.
Oh.
You can buy anything at the Jimmy Mineral Show. Really, I mean.
There's whole skeleton
Yeah,
and
you
skull
buy
boots.
everything. Yeah, there's a market for all of it. Alligator teeth. I use a lot of gator teeth. If you look at the composition of my piece, you never know what it is unless I tell you how to break down the composition of what each piece is.
So the one behind you, are those staples? Not that one, the beige one.
It's leather.
The little.
Yeah, the little black is leather. I've done that up to look like there's panels of wood that I stapled together.
Stapled together.
Yeah.
And then what are the dots made out of?
The dots are African trade beads. They're pieces of glass. And the center of the dot is the upholstery tack. I go through thousands of upholstery tacks. When you plant a piece of ceramics, for me, everywhere I put a bead has to have a hole. So I have to draw and design everything to get the detail. And then I have to have a hole in it when it's wet. Once it's dry and fired, you can't put that hole back in it. So you have to pre-plant it all.
Because if you tried to drill after you fired, you'd probably crack the whole thing.
No, you burn your drill bit up. It's fired too high. It's too hard to drill through. So, clay has a term, it's called vitrified. Your clay is fired to its highest point. When it's fired to the highest point, it's nearly impossible to drill through it. It's not very soft. So. All
right, so I think we should have a scavenger hunt. Maybe find the booth that has the coyote toenails, could be one. Find the skulls. Find those over you. That's a great idea. You think? Okay. We'll have some prize. We'll work on that. Yeah. Yeah, Mary's got her skull dress on. And I love Mary because she doesn't say, people say, you don't get paint on your good clothes. You're like, I'm going to wear what I want every day, and you can have paint on it. But you also make some jewelry. No, this is Bryce.
This is Bryce.
This is Bryce.
This is Bryce.
Yeah. Yay, Bryce! Yeah, Bryce was supposed to be on the panel last week, but
He's very shy.
He's very shy. He had an engagement with a. Yeah, he was on a conference call with Bend, Oregon, right, for a big installation he's doing there. So they're everywhere. But the other thing I was thinking about, a scavenger hunt would be fun, but also wouldn't it be cool to see some of these studios? Like, what is your studio organized, or is it kind of?
My studio is 2 driveways, 2 garages, and then a 16 by 20 in front of one of the garages, and then 2 backyards. So that does wood and steel and assembling and clay and painting. And I have also a large etching press set up that I use as a slab roller.
I love you made some etching stuff for me once. Yeah. Myron, is your studio organized?
It's organized for me.
Okay. From what you said earlier, I thought there'd be
I know
like,
where everything's at.
where it's.
My main workshop where my stones and beads are There is probably a shelving system that goes from wall to wall all the way around. Everyone's crammed full, tons of stones, beads. If I see a bead I like, I don't buy one. I buy everything they have because I hate to run out of what I need. So they're hanging everywhere.
Are they all carefully marked with labels?
I know what they are.
Okay. And no one else needs to know, right? Okay.
I feel sorry when I'm gone and somebody has to clean up behind me. It's not going to be fun.
Okay. I think your studio's neat and tidy.
If
No? Alex doesn't.
Alex does her best to keep me organized, and I fight that every step of the way. No.
A question I didn't ask you earlier, though, is what kind of camera are you using to shoot these photos?
It's digital. I got into photography in the digital era, so it's a Canon. It's the new Canon R5. A macro 100 is what I love to use to get up close and get lost in.
Canon R5?
Yep.
Okay. I've been wanting a new camera, so maybe I'll look at
It's a
that.
good one.
Okay.
You'd like it.
And do you do a lot of post, like Photoshop work, or is it more like cropped down to the?
I try to get what I want right there. I mean, what I'm seeing is what I'm loving and what I want to capture in its truest sense. That's my goal, and maybe a little cropping, but almost no post. The colors are there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very good. How important is lighting? If it's like a bright sunny day, is it harder to get what you want, or does it just depend on where the sun happens to be?
Everything happens at the right time. Yeah. So if I see it, I get it.
I had a thought and it just disappeared. That never happens to anyone else here, I'm sure. It'll come back to me. Oh, has there ever been a project that any of you have done that just really stands out as life-changing or great memory or something you're super proud of, or is it just the constant assembly of your work? Or any big project you wish you could do that you haven't done yet?
Well, I got years ago when the Disneyland Hotel was expanding, they hired me to paint all the original art in their lobby, which was wonderful. And they gave me a few characters I had to use, but then let me pick the ones I liked, like Jiminy Cricket and Tinkerbell. And I did these very large paintings. And they bought them and I sent them off and it was wonderful. And then they sent me this horrible letter that they wanted me to sign that said I could never use these images, but I had already done it and they'd already paid me, so I didn't sign it. It seemed insane, right? Give them all my rights. They made a terrible mistake. The girl who was in charge of the project got pregnant. She disappeared. They forgot to have me sign it. They sent me the money. And then they were like, oh, by the way. So that was fun.
But really, they're your images.
Well, yeah. Well, I was using their characters, though. They were copywritten. So that is when my nieces and nephews thought I'd made it. So I made it. Yay!
Okay, any burning project you would love to do?
There is a new a place called Starlight Memorial Gardens that's opened in Tempe. That it's going to be a I don't know, columbarium. Is that right? Where you can put ashes.
Yes.
And I would like to. There's an area there that's going to be for animals, and I would like to fill it with my sculptures, with my rabbits and my dogs for this garden. So yes, that's my project. I'd like to.
How can we help you with that?
I don't know.
Anyone know somebody?
Yeah.
Well-
Anybody close to death?
No. I bet we can find somebody who can help make that happen. Not that dying part, the installation part. Crazy people. But on that note, a good friend of mine came a few weeks ago to visit Myron, and several years ago she had bought a little urn for their dog. And in the last couple of years, both her mother and father passed away and their other dog. And she came in and we had the best time selecting Myron's vessels for the ashes. So it can be functional. And she sent a picture. We put together a great variety and they look beautiful on the shelf and it just brought her great joy. So, you know, we have to celebrate every step of life, right? And art can be involved in all of it. So we're not going to put any of you in a vessel because you hang on the wall. Yeah, but we could do a really cool floor sculpture that spins. Yeah.
Good idea.
Okay. So, any projects that you two would like to do that you haven't done yet? No. I didn't tell him I was going to put him on the spot like that, but I think you could do a two-sided, rotating, or even four-sided. That could be fun, because that way when people say they don't have any wall space, you say, I've got what you need, right? How many of you say you have no wall space and you really will find room for it if you, yeah. I always say, anybody who says they don't have any more wall space is a great prospect, because that means they love art, right? So, all right, I'm sure there's some questions, because I never think of all the right questions to ask. So if anybody here or online has questions, Alex, we can repeat it, or you can come up and grab the mic, because
I can say it, or I can
come on up.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, come on. This is the beautiful Alex, Josh's wife, and we're always excited when she comes to visit.
Oh, thanks.
I think so we can catch it on the recording.
I was just curious what the first iteration of your work looked like compared to where it is now. I obviously know, babe, what your work looked like when you first started. I think that would be interesting, but I'd love to know what was the first thing you made and how did it transition to this?
Oh, that's a great question, and I remember your early work, so you take it from here.
Celebration was very kind to me to bring me in when I was in the beginning stages. She treated me very well. I did very small pieces. I didn't do a lot of large work. And my side of the country, you didn't do large work. It wasn't a place for it to be. I found a growth pattern here. Large gave me a room to grow to be bigger pieces. My pieces were small.
You still had the agates, and you had a very beautiful glaze collection.
It's still the basic me.
Yeah.
It has. You look back at my old photos, you still see me, and I see me all over my work now. So, but I like large scale work. So.
And selling as multiples. You did say something to me the other day that you didn't. I just asked about a project you'd like to do. What did you tell me about these? You'd like to do like 10 or 12 feet tall?
I want to do larger. Yeah, I want to do more larger. I want to do more outside work. I like the prospect of doing the outside work.
So like we talked about, maybe on either side of the room to kind of build faux columns.
I see these as architectural structures where you'd have a column in your room, and this could be the column cover. Take it all the way up. So that would be fun to me.
When we added onto our house, you should do that. When we added onto our house, the city people made us leave a post like right between the dining room and living room, because they said we couldn't do the I-beam, which we think they're wrong, but we complied. But that would be perfect to put around there. Yeah. If you can't fix it, feature it. Right?
That's a good motto.
How's your work evolved?
Thank you, Alex. When I found photography, it was like, you ever have something put in your hands, you weren't expecting it. Shit, this is cool. And that's what it was for me. So I was instantly drawn to what that meant. But I knew right away I wanted to do something different, and I didn't want to take the same pictures other people were taking. So I wanted to go. I found myself going far away to abandoned old mining towns, like just things that no one was looking at but had a history. And so that was the first iteration of my work, was representational. It was, cool shots of things out there in the world that had been left behind and deteriorated. Through the lens, I found myself being drawn in closer and closer, and still to this day, it's closer and closer. And the more, it's like everything, the closer you look, the more there is. That's been the big change for me, and it became abstract.
Closer you look, the more there is. That's awesome. And I have a mining town I need to take you to.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's really cool. Didn't you do a show in Wickenburg one year?
So Gold Rush days.
What were you selling then?
In Wickenburg. It was a different medium altogether. I was doing woven fiber jewelry, and I was putting an anklet on this lovely lady who walked into my booth.
An anklet. Not that closer.
Yeah. And not a great show as far as the numbers go. Best show of my life. It's where I met Alex. That's where she's from.
Yay! That big smile. It was sweet. Yeah, and she was telling me the story like, I didn't think, he wasn't getting my vibe, I was like trying to, and then he looked down and he goes, okay, one more thing. I need your phone number. Right? So that was the beginning of Love Story. And been a long time you guys have been together, so congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Best show of his life. So how has your work evolved? It always is constantly evolving.
In college, I painted and drew mostly figures, pretty realistic. And then when I got out of college, I went looking for work, and it was hard to find anything with these figures I was doing. And I got a job at an art factory, and they wanted me to come up with something that was saleable besides these kind of creepy figures from my childhood. So I lived on Oak Creek, and I began painting Oak Creek, and I began canoeing the creek a lot and painting the Verde and the Verde Valley, and suddenly I had something I loved, and I began to sell. So it was mostly landscapes for 30 years.
And your grandmother, okay, we did a trip, like 7 of us went to New York. It's been a while now for the Art Expo. We had a fun time, but you spent a lot of time in New York growing up. Can you tell us a little bit about that? She was really great to be in New York.
My grandmother lived at the Mayflower Hotel, and my stepfather lived at 65th and 5th. He managed a large 10-story building, and Bill and Babe Paley lived at the top of the building. Bill Paley was the president of CBS. And that was right across from the zoo. So I had one side, I had both sides of the park covered. And I went to museums. I spent my high school years looking for Andy Warhol. Standing out in front of Studio 54. And I never saw Andy Warhol, but I saw Ben Gazzara. And Tim Robbins. I saw him a few times. So I love art. I loved Manhattan. Yeah.
It's a vibrant town, even still, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, other questions besides the beautiful Alex? What do we need to know? Yes. The Passover. Oh, it might need to be turned on. Oh.
Hello? Okay.
Yeah.
Quick question. All these pieces are so imaginative. Do you start off with a drawing or an idea of what you're going to create, or do you just start and then it evolves?
I draw all mine. All my large pieces, I have an idea in my head, and my drawings are for me, not for anyone else. I can understand it. Nobody else is going to understand it. It's like, but I've never sat down without having something in my mind to do. I know where I'm going.
Yeah, same. I love it. I love to look back in the notebook and see the sketch, that came to life. Yeah.
I do both. I sketch and then I sometimes just work intuitively.
Good question. Anyone else? In the back.
If you do that at each and every time that you have a plan and you have it in your book, how often does it come out?
Okay, the question was if they plan it out in advance, how often does it actually come out the way they planned it? Is that good paraphrasing? Okay.
I'm a detail freak. It's not finished until it comes out. Yeah, it's
He built Mercedes.
Yeah. And when I first started, if it didn't come out, I had a hammer, and I would bust. Nothing went out of my shop that didn't come out the way I planned it to do. It would get broken, thrown away. I didn't want anybody else to ever see it.
Mercedes drivers, we appreciate it.
Mercedes drivers appreciate that. When you do you catalog all your drawings though? I mean, I know they're just for you, but someday somebody might want to.
No, if you get one of my pieces, if it comes in a cardboard box, you'll see my little crude sketch on top, so I know what's in my van.
All right, those are collectibles right there, people. Yeah, provenance. Good question.
I've yet to smash any of my pieces with a hammer.
I break a lot.
But they look like the drawing.
Sometimes mine look like it and sometimes they don't. If it starts to go in a direction that I'm surprised by and that I like, I'll go that way. So I'm very flexible.
Like Gumby, positive and flexible. Yep. One of my mottos. Okay, that was a good question. And I think the exploration of art, I think really everybody approaches it differently when they're creating it, and all of us who collect and enjoy it, we all see something different. And again, I always like to kind of summarize, it's very fun to take a break from the regular everyday life to see the world through the vision of an artist and to have them show us the macro, super up close of the detail of something that's really important to all of us is our vehicles, especially from the era where you're shooting them. Like that was when cars were beautiful and cool and the big fenders and the headlights, romantic, cool stuff. And you take ceramic and turn it into things that look like reeds and beautiful things. And now I've got a whole new appreciation for coyote toenails. I never would have thought about that in an artistic way, but I mean, it's just there is so much beautiful art in this world, and to have these kind of people be able to bring it to life is a privilege and an honor. So thank you all for what you do. And thank you for being on the panel, Myron, Josh, Mary, and we do invite you to go see their work. And if we might have videos we can put in the comments maybe. Mary's just down to your right when you leave here. You'll see, you can't walk by without seeing Mary's work and Joe's work. Take a right down there and you'll find Josh about halfway down, and then Myron way down at the end. They're all on this side today. So thank you all for being here. And if you've got comments, we'd love to have them. And then next week is the modern, new Old West. And we've got Ray Tigerman and Shannon Lee and Jerry Salinas on that panel. So we hope to have you join us next week. Thank you. Oh, and Art After Dark is Saturday, March 22nd is Art After Dark. We're going to be open until 8 that night. So join us if you can.